Okay. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
And there is an agenda.
Can we
for
just
this.
stay on this call?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, where did Shabnam go? It looks like we're looking at practical examples and format guidelines for resilience curation and process creative and energy flows.
Yes, I think we need to embed all the things we are talking about and all these different creative flows and research those we are just putting into all the work we are doing. So this would be like the embodiment of this and just trying to conscience around how we are creating all these kind of programs with them.
I kind of started to do that with the here, I'll share really quickly if that's okay. No.
Hello.
Hi.
Now it works.
Hello.
Hey there.
So on the specific project pages, you can kind of start seeing here, for example, the regenerative workflow. You can kind of start seeing how they relate to each other. So for example, like Satori and Jean's DUB Imaginarium calls, it kind of informs the dynamic energy budget technical calls as well. And then from there, we're synthesizing like the prototype. And then for the library, the self-discovery game will be part of the library eventually. So it's kind of starting to connect with each other. But anyway, that's it.
Basically, first of all, welcome everyone. And I don't know if you want to make a check-in round or connect to the senses. I leave it up to you. If anyone has a 5-minute idea, but just to give an overview, what we want to achieve today in our synchronization is the tech omega workflows. And the goal of it is to update our manifesto. So these manifestos are the culture or the cultural build or the social norms. No, it's not even social norms, is it? Anyways, it's not built into the token of Token Engineering Commons, but it's how the organization decides to agree on things and how things are done, so we can actually have some sort of decentralization and autonomy. So every working group has a manifesto. I'm just recapping for those of you who may be joining new tech or Omega. So this working group Omega manifesto has many sides, and of course it's an attempt to give an overview of how we started working. What are the first principles that we, at least in the beginning over 1.5 years ago, decided we can put together. And now that, and again, Omega, we decide here to explore this decentralization and autonomy, maybe up to its limits, meaning, we said it's not going to be another meeting, another work, another session you have to just get into, but actually a place for people in the space who want to make sense of it all. And because Omega also focuses on token engineering ethos and ethics, it was just important to hold that space and not structure it, but see what emerges. And it seems self-sovereignty, radical inclusion are really things that we value, or people who find their ways here value. And before going in there too much, is that we had some experiments we pulled through, ideating around initiatives, creating common sense over I would say, an improv phase over a year, but we also managed to go through the structured process of Token Engineering Commons, meaning you make a proposal, meaning you explain why that what you're asking support for is going to become a public good for token engineering, hence Token Engineering Commons. And the first initiative that we put through is the Token Engineering Consilience Library proposal. So that was an experience, meaning we experimented through this complex, chaotic, rather improvisation-like working style together. People came in, came out, we had no roles defined, just, yes, I took the role of steward. And because I really felt that this is important. But now there are just so many more people who feel the importance, and yeah, I'm just amazed. Just want to say that it seems to be working, that people actually connect over values instead of over tasks and assignments and so on. So today we still want to make this process flow, which is actually defining what it is that we're doing in terms such that it also computes within the predefined rules and guidelines of Token Engineering Commons. So typically, if you go into other working groups, you will meet a Scrum like project execution. And that's what we would call here process flow. So we will have these processes. We have predefined processes for Token Engineering Commons to work. That's how we interact with the augmented bonding curve via means of proposals that have this advice process. Then later on it goes into conviction process, and in between you have all the steps that you need so that need to take so that these, especially these funding and funds distribution processes are automated against the bonding curve, and they are transparent, they are auditable at any time, and so on. Right now here in this document, I also go in there. We have the basic process flow. Literally, this is what we have done to iterate once through the Token Engineering Commons process. And there are some things I think we should just go through once. Any questions that you might have, please ask them so that this description actually answers questions and we know what questions come up. And there are some things that I want to share from this experience, what actually is not written anywhere, but what needs to be done in order to actually create also not momentum, but what you would typically do in an organization. You do something, but you also build, you have to market so that people know what it is that you're building, number one, and also people interact with it, so you actually get feedback on what it is that you want to do, whether it's useful and for whom it's useful, etc. So these are other process steps that we can discuss. And then once we're through this once, I would like us to actually make a round and share, especially of those who have started these different working styles and different areas of work where we have the more creative flows, but also that is something that came into working group Omega, but definitely had energized people, so we picked it up. It's the dynamic energy budget. It's based on biomimicry, and we are hypothesizing that we can actually use it to model how we are sharing funds and our contributions, which are also energy we input into the systems, and how we actually digest and what we turn it into, right? So that's a huge research project, but I think we are keen on looking into how to apply it actually for funds distribution, which would be pretty pretty hands-on, and we can just try it out, for example, in the workflow of creating the Token Engineering Consciousness library. But also it is research, so it has to have this creative freedom, or what we used to say, economic freedom. Kind of. It might end up with the insight that it wouldn't work, or not in that sentence, not in one way or the other that we thought it would work. And in research, actually every insight counts. And token engineering has that experiment-driven mindset. Has to, because it's a very complex domain. It's helping people to find ways to actually move from the industrial age task distribution, bounties, and getting things done, to actually interacting and creating value and sharing value in much more complex and intertwined networks. So it's a research project. Now, today's focus, once we go through this process flow and then add our insights, how we actually put the Token Engineering Consciousness library through the process flow, I would love to invite everyone who has been part of the Omega flight till now, and who have joined recently, and who have been contributing or working in this different working style and what we call the work style research, regenerative work style research. Please imagine how we would go through a working group Omega proposal that captures these research aspects, that as a groundwork of Omega, it applies it to itself, but obviously these things are insightful also for decentralized autonomous organization that realize, okay, just automating some processes and buttons, pushing buttons, it's not all. Actually, it's a human coordination problem that we're getting at, and it requires more innovative and imaginative ways and more human ways to actually relate to each other, on top of all this amazing infrastructure that we have, automating financial and accounting flows. So everyone who has contributed, please put on your thinking caps. Maybe it's going to be a bit harder for those who are used to work also in their day job in this creative flow. Ask any questions that you have about the process flow that we have in Token Engineering Commons, and about how you think the work that you have been contributing can be part of the research groundwork of Omega. If you feel that your contribution or what you would love to contribute doesn't fit, then also raise your hand. Even if you don't get to that point, we definitely take it onto the agenda summary, and somehow either next week or offline, meaning in the chat, continue that discussion. Because now it's about updating the working group Omega manifesto, the work style session, which will state that we are experimenting with regenerative workflows and inclusive workflows, embedding multiple different work styles. What else? Yeah, I think these are the main points. And then, of course, we should really have every step in the process where things could go wrong really pinned and highlighted, as Matt already did. Thank you. I think he's not here today. Yeah, but that would be it. Okay. A 14-minute intro already. Sorry about that, but I really wanted everyone to know where they are and how they might fit in. And if not, please ask your questions.